All right, today we're talking about one of the biggest scams, maybe the biggest scam in the history of mankind. It was a financial scam run by Bernie Madoff, and I think a lot of you have probably heard of him. People here, even in Wyoming, were affected by this huge $1 billion scam. All right, let's get into it.
All right, so I think we're just gonna start off with a little bit of his backstory. Basically, he started out, not a super rich person in any way. His young years were not flooded with riches, big houses, fancy cars or anything. By the age of 20, he had saved up $5,000 from his sprinkler installation job and his public pool lifeguarding, and he basically started his own accounting firm. And here he had $5,000 that he invested into penny stocks. And he was really good at it. And so people started to trust him with their money, like close friends, family. And his name eventually grew. And he got to where he was today on Wall Street as one of the most trusted financial advisors that you could have.
Yeah, it was so key in this whole plot, that he started off little because people always like the little guy, but that he built up this trust bit by bit so that like you said, on Wall Street, he's one of the most trusted men out there for his stock knowledge and all this. And so it's so key and crucial to this whole scam to that, because people would then believe him, trust him, and that it's kind of crazy to me because I don't know, it's just something that like you need essentially for these scams, just like in Logan Paul. He needed that. People just trust him, and I don't know. It's just like crazy how well you'll make money off just people who believe you for just blind reasons.
Yeah. We try to put trust in people, and sadly, we can't always actually do that. I mean, you want to be able to, but our world just isn't always able to do that. All right, so when he was eventually caught, right, he did actually plead guilty. He knew that there was no way of getting out of this. He knew he actually was writing up false investment charts to show people that he was actually investing their money. And when people would ask for their money out, he would actually use someone else's investment in him to make it look like they had actually made money. But realistically, it's just a Ponzi scam.
Mhm.
Okay. The guy, last name of Ponzi, he was a guy who basically went around, asked people to invest in his company, and he kept doing this. But when people invested, he would pay back the people that invested. So it looked like his company was actually working, but he never had a company. It was just investments working off each other, basically. And he made money off of it until he got caught when investments got slow. And this is also how Bernie got caught.
Well,
You're not always his investors stopped. Like, not enough people were continuing to invest when people were asking for their money back, I guess.
yeah, and another big part to where I got caught was his sons. They were working for him, so was his wife, and they went on and it's a sad story, really. One of his sons committed suicide, the older one, because of so much pressure, the paparazzi, everything. He committed suicide, and yeah. But his younger son, they all said they didn't do anything, have anything about it. Same with his wife. But it was his two sons that actually confessed to people, because Bernie Madoff, he told his sons, he's like, hey, I gotta come clean to you guys. This is a scam, and it's working very well though. And he probably thought they'd just be like, all right, let's do it, let's go along with it. But they realized that this has affected so many people in so many terrible ways, lost so many monies, maybe even lifestyles because of this. So his two sons went and they confessed and said, our father's doing this. He's had the biggest Ponzi scam I think I've ever seen. And they all, yep, it's just everyone got onto it, took him to court. He was there for many years. And that's really what started off his downfall, was telling his two sons, because they went and told really just everyone, I guess, that this is not true. Don't invest. Don't do this. It's a big Ponzi scheme. And it was terrible, really, in their minds. And it really was what he was doing.
Yeah, so what happened is there was a little bit of an economic downfall back in 2009. And basically, people were like, oh, I need to get my money out of investments. I want to keep it safe with me. Well, Bernie was not quite ready for this. And in this, he could not give back 100% what looked like they were actually making, because he was living off new investors. So he stole around $50 billion from people, and he was able to give back about 70%. So he stole about $17 billion, you could say. He was able to give back the other 70% to the people who got approved claims from him, and he sent back their money. And they actually made money off of it. But 30% of people, these are like non-profit organizations, people who had like a lot of money invested in him, celebrities, so many people had so much trust in this guy, and he totally just scammed them, and they lost all their money.
Yeah, I mean, it was really great, though, because, like you were saying, the claims, usually it's around 5 to 30% that get approved. And so to see 70% get approved is just like, it's really just like a miracle in my mind, because these people are getting a ton of money back and maybe even making some, which is like so great to hear, because they just lost so much, which I think is just insane to me that 70% got their money back. Like it's I don't know. It's just something really cool that came out of this really bad case, and I don't know. It's something really that I like to see with stuff like this. And finally, then when he was convicted of it, and they said, "All right, 15 other people were convicted along with him. We couldn't find their names, but they were, because they were part of the scheme. They knew about it. None of which were his family, which is interesting, because I feel like they were. His wife may have knew, because they had to have known. She was doing book for him. They were all working closely together. The money flow would have been outrageous. But anyways, he got sentenced to the max sentence you can get, 150 years in prison. And he did go in there, though. He went in there terminally ill.
He did. It was a kidney disease. He died back in 2021, and I feel like for a little bit, honestly, during this time, I didn't hear much about him, but when he died, I feel like the whole story kind of rose to the top again, and people are saying, oh my gosh, 30% of people that invest into this guy, all their money that they put into him, is just gone. But so he did die in jail. He had a lifetime sentence, pretty much, I guess you could say. That's hard. A lot of people just around in his circle of like family, one of his sons actually died of cancer. Hard one there.
Younger one did. Yeah.
So both those two sons that knew about it actually both did die, which is really extremely sad, I must say. I'm not sure the current state on his wife right now, but she's nearing 80, I would assume, along with him. Died at the age of 82, actually, which is, pretty old. Then again, he is living in prison, though. That's going to be hard to sustain an older life. So he did die, but we do have to remember him.
Yeah, it's something that we need to look at and learn for sure, because there's so many people that are still falling for these scams. And I feel like that should have been a big stepping stone for us to realize, let's get a background check. Let's do all this. Let's make sure he's 100%. And even if he seems trustworthy, don't invest all at once. It's like it's still happening. And we're actually doing a series on this, on the biggest scams that are recent, old, past, present, whatever you want to say. And that's what we're doing, like I don't know, like I said, just a series, because this is so prominent in the world today and back then too. And it's just crazy, because like I said, it leads to very bad things. Like I said, his older son, he died because of it, because it just got too much for him. And it's so tragic to see. that like a man 40s, he's still got a lot of life. He can't do it anymore because of his father's actions. He was so greedy, needed so much in his mind that in doing that, he unintentionally killed his son, which is just, it bewilders me on how far these things could go. And that's why we all need to look at it and learn from this. It's just an abomination of what he is, because it's just terrible, really.
Yeah. So I think this is gonna be Bernie Madoff's story here. We just want to give you a little quick little look into his life, I guess, everything that's happened. If your life was affected though from this, we'd like to hear about that in the comments. So
it'd be really cool, because we've heard that people from Cody were affected. It was a very nationwide spread thing. So if you did, we'd love to hear about it in the comments. We might even talk about it in another episode to lead up about just people affected, especially here. That'd be really great.
It'd be really cool if could get someone from Cody here, onto the podcast maybe, and just hear about their story about that. So thank you for listening in. This is going to be a series just about some big scams, and we just want to keep you guys all informed.
Yep.
So, thank you.
Thank you.